Blessings, blessings. We are back yet one more time and again. We are SMRF International Ministry, 7 Minute Read family, 7 Minute Read followers, just 7 Minute Read faithful folk. I am Mama Pam, aka Pamela Dobson, and I do read 7 minutes every day so you don't have to read, but I also read commentary so you know and you have a good idea of what we're talking about when we do read. So we're resuming with Numbers, the 6th chapter. Commentary for Numbers, the 6th chapter, a very important read. The purpose for the vow of a Nazarite, to separate himself to the Lord. Now, the vow of the Nazarite was to express one's special desire to draw close to God and to separate oneself from the comforts and pleasures of this world. This vow could be taken by a man or a woman in Israel. This vow could be taken by a man or a woman in Israel. Consecrates and offerings. According to Allen and Cole, the Hebrew word here translates consecrates, has the idea of something exceptionally wonderful or miraculous. This was a special vow, significantly beyond a normal promise or vow. This was a comprehensive vow concerning what one ate, how one looked, and with whom one associated. The English word Nazarite transliterates Hebrew Nazar, meaning set apart. The word Nazarite is something confused with Nazarene, the word used to describe Jesus in terms of his hometown origin. That's in Matthew 2:23, Mark 14:67, Mark 16:6, Acts 24:5. While these words are based on the same root, Nazar to vow, they are distinctive words. To take the vow of a Nazarite. There were several remarkable Nazarites in the Bible. Samson was a Nazarite in Judges 13:5. John the Baptist, Luke 1:15. And Paul, Acts 18:18. The mother of Samson, Naoth's wife, took the vow of a Nazarite during her pregnancy. Judges 13:4. The things prohibited for the Nazarite took some of the things forbidden for the priests and made the prohibition stronger. Priests were not allowed to drink while serving as priests. Leviticus 10:9. Nazarites were never allowed to drink. Priests they were never allowed to drink. Priests could mourn the death of their closest relatives according to custom in Leviticus 21, but Nazarites could not. So in a significant way, the Nazarite vow gave every Israelite the opportunity to make a priest-like vow in a priest-like consecration to God, at least for a time. The priesthood was restrictive. Only men of a certain age from very particular families could be priests. The consecration of a Nazarite vow was open to all, including women. So throughout the biblical period, the discipline of Nazarite vows was highly respected. Samson, Samuel, and contemporaries of Amos, Amos 2:11, took to vow. Josephus mentions that there were vows were popular in the first century AD. Adam Clarke supposed that the vow of a Nazarite was never taken for less than a year. Less than that period would not allow enough hair to grow out to burn on the forever altar. Remember I told you guys that? In order to grow the locks, you got to be a Nazarite for a couple of years or something. So it wasn't something you just took for a short period of time. God bless you, me pretty. Me pretty. You pretty? Praise God. Thank you. To receive from God. The priesthood was restricted, only men of a certain age. Throughout the Bible, I read that. There was absolutely nothing monastic in this order. Less than men did not separate themselves from the ordinary life of their fellows, yet they did maintain an attitude of special separation, the signs of which were arranged for them. He shall separate himself from wine and similar drink. The Nazarite was forbidden to eat or drink anything from the grapevine, from the seed to the skin. This was a form of self-denial connected with the idea of a special consecration to God. Generally speaking, wine and grape products were thought to be a blessing. Proverbs 3 and 10, things to be gratefully received from God. Psalms 104 and 15. From wine and similar drink would include all intoxicating drinks, such as beer or distilled spirits. The Nazarite was the keep distance from everything intoxicated or related to grapevine. Stay away from alcohol. No razor shall come upon his head. Now this is real important. Y'all men folk listening, just wearing all them dreadlocks today. Y'all Israelites, y'all Hebrewites, there's all kind of stuff out there where these men is wearing their hair longer than women. During the time of a Nazarite vow, the hair was allowed to grow, and it was cut at the conclusion of the vow. This was a way of outwardly denouncing to the world that this man or woman was under a special vow. Regarding the hair of a Nazarite, Cole remarks concerning the word Nazar, the word is also used of untended vines during the time of the sabbatical year. Leviticus 25, 5 and 11, probably these vines are termed Nazar because they were not intended or trimmed, just as a Nazarite was not to trim his or her hair during the period of special vow. Thus, a Nazar was a person who was specially consecrated to the Lord and who was marked out as distinct by his or her unusual manner of hairstyle. Women could take the Nazarite vow, and they did not normally cut their hair in ancient Jewish culture. Their Nazarite vow was likely expressed in not caring for their hair, letting it hang loose, and keeping it relatively unkempt, letting it go into dreads. In the case of Samson, his strength came from his Nazarite vow of consecration and separation to God. So when Delilah cut his hair, the most public visible example of the vow, his strength was lost. It was not because she cut the hair, it's because he made a vow to God that he would. Samson had broken the vow before, both at drinking parties in Judges 14 and 10, and in touching a dead carcass, Judges 14, 8 and 9. But until Delilah cut his hair, he had not broken the Nazarite vow in the most obviously public way. This illustrates the principles that there is a sense in which public sins do matter more because they bring more disgrace to the name of God and his people. He shall not go near a dead body. The third aspect of the Nazarite vow was the strict avoidance of a dead body. Dead bodies. Okay, I cannot join anything. Dead bodies, even those of a close relative, would not be approached during the vow of a Nazarite. Separation from death, the most obvious and terrible consequence of sin, was essential during the period of vow. Father, mother, brother, sister. These words were a serious caution to the potential Nazarite. Even if their father or mother died during the days of their vow, they could not mention for them as normal. Even a priest was not allowed to care for the dead body of a close relative. Leviticus 21, 1 and 3. But this was not allowed for the Nazarite. Jesus alludes to this aspect of the dedication of his disciples when he admonished them to follow me and let the dead bury the dead. And I do that. I don't run to no funerals. I don't go to funerals. I love people while they're here. If I hear you're sick and if I can go to your bedside, there's something I can do to encourage you while you're here, while you're living, I will do it. Because when you are dead, you are dead. I don't need you coming to celebrate me and say what a great person Mama Pam is. I need you to bless me when I have a need, to tend to me now while I'm living, not when I'm dead. When I'm dead, the queen don't know nothing about all that stuff they doing. All that walking and carrying on. She don't know nothing about it. That girl gone. Matthew 8, 21 and 22. Some contend strongly that the Nazarite was a type of our Lord, but neither analogy nor proof can be produced. Our blessed Lord both drank wine and touched the dead, which no Nazarite would do. All the days of his separation, he shall be holy to the Lord. Come on in here, Jesus, and talk. We talking about Jesus. Come on in, Jesus talk or Jesus talk, whichever one you are. There was to be no monastic association of Nazarites, no formal watch kept over their conduct. They mingled with others in ordinary life and went about their business as at other times. But the unshorn hair distinguished them dreadlocks, y'all. They felt that the eye of God as well as the eyes of men were upon them, and they walked wearily under the sense of their pledge. In other words, I want people to know that I love you, God. I will set myself apart. I will be different for you, oh God. So as a woman of God, I will not wear my boobs all down, where you see all my chest meat hanging out. I will not have all this here showing all the time, anytime. I will conduct myself. I won't have makeup all on my face. I won't put no big old spider eyelashes on. I might wear little bitty ones to enhance. I won't put cake all over my face and make myself. I will be plain beautifully. You said you beautify the meek with salvation. I will allow you to beautify me, oh God, with salvation. I will love who I am without putting all the stuff on. And people will look at me and say, she's strange. She a woman of God. Yeah, that woman, that's all she do is God, God, God. So the Nazarites, that's what they were saying by wearing dreadlocks. So when you see all these men today wearing dreadlocks, are they doing that for God? I don't think so. That's part of a club. They don't even know what they're doing. They just following what somebody else is doing. If anyone dies very suddenly beside him, so if one's vow was broken, perhaps by someone dropping dead next to the Nazarite, then the Nazarite's hair was to be shaved off, sacrifice made, and the vow will begin all over again. But the former days shall be lost because his separation was defiled. So the sacrifice required for even the accidental breaking of the Nazarite vow were a sin offering and a burnt offering. God required a sacrifice of atonement, sacrifice of rededication, and the wiping away of the former days of the vow. The Mishnah relates how Queen Helena had almost completed 7 years of a Nazarite vow when she was defiled and therefore had to keep it for another 7 years. Items needed for sacrifice. He shall be brought to the door of the tabernacle of the meeting. The vow of the Nazarite ended with the public ceremony, which extended with extensive sacrifice. 1 male lamb, 1 ewe lamb, 1 ram, a basket of unleavened bread, and a drink offering. The offering of the Nazarite at the completion of the period of the vow, verse 13, were extensive, expensive, and expressive of the spirit of total commitment to Yahweh God during this period of special devotion. He shall present his offering to the Lord. The normal fulfillment of the vow would require the sacrifice of 3 animals and more. This was an expensive vow to fulfill. The Nazarite vow was not something that would be entered into lightly. When Joseph visited Jerusalem, he was invited to pay the expenses of some Christians who had taken a Nazarite vow and were ready to conclude it with this ceremony. Acts 21, 23, and 24. So we will resume tomorrow. We'll be resuming tomorrow. But the main part we were able to get to, and that's these brethren wearing all these here dreadlocking hair. Are you a Nazarite? No. Cut your hair. Bible said, nature itself, tell you to cut your hair. Let the women, our hair is our glory. Let us shine for you. Men are more effeminate than ever before. You can't find a man that act and look and talk and act like a man. Where the real men at? They don't know God. They don't have God. So they don't know what being a man is. All right, that concludes. That's all we got for today. I got to shut down to get ready to come back.